TikTok, folks. The New York Knicks have until October 23rd at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to extend Immanuel Quickley, because if not, he is going to enter restricted free agency. And Zach Lowe was actually talking about this on his podcast, and he gave an update about this, and he actually said, even if the Knicks make Quickley a good and satisfying offer, he may end up declining it anyways. We're going to break down that report and see exactly what he said. We're also going to see what a New York Knick legend in Carmelo Anthony said about Josh Hart. All of this and so much more today on the Knicks Digest. IQ may turn down an extension. That's right, you heard me clearly. I did not stutter. Immanuel Quickley, the biggest story of the offseason for the New York Knicks, or at least one of them. Will he resign? Won't he resign? What's the magical number? For how many years? Is he still going to come off the bench? Is he going to start? A lot of those questions, unfortunately, don't have an answer just yet. Although in terms of being on the bench or starting, I think with Tom Thibodeau, we all know he's probably going to come off the bench. But the money, what's going to happen with that? Are the Knicks going to offer him something significant? But if they do, will IQ accept it anyways? Zach Lowe posed this exact question on his podcast, and this is what he said. According to Zach Lowe, he said, I could see the Knicks making a solid offer that Quickley thinks is beneath him and just say, okay, let's reconvene in July. Bobby Marks said the number, in terms of his calculation, is 4 years, $83 million. Lowe said, I bet he wouldn't take it. Maybe he would. I don't know. Mark says 4 for 83 is comparable to what Dejounte Murray and Derek White signed in San Antonio on their extensions, based on where the cap is. Lowe said both of those guys are superior players, and I like Quickley. So even Zach Lowe, who absolutely has been on record saying that not only does he love Immanuel Quickley, he likes him a lot, likes his game, wants to see what he can do. But even he knows some of the players in the league that got similar contracts based on the cap and what it was then and what they were given. If Immanuel Quickley was given that same deal, it might be seen as an overpay because there are players in the league that might be paid similar to Quickley that are just simply better than him. Now, is Quickley taking advantage of a market that is a little bit anyways exploded and increased? The cap is increased a little bit. So therefore, a contract that might be out of Quickley's range a few years ago might be in it now. The problem lies is the people that we just mentioned, apart from Derek White, who was coming off the bench but is now starting, I will say that was starter money. Is Immanuel Quickley going to make that money and then come off the bench? Is he going to start the new wave of, $100 million players coming off the bench for the New York Knicks and other teams? Because I don't know if that trend is going to stick. I think there is going to be a level of bench players get this much and non-bench players don't. Because I think at the end of the day, there's only going to be so much you can contribute from the bench that's going to be worth so much to a team. And I get the cap is increasing, but I think that helps the starters more than it helps the role players. I'm not saying their number's not going to go up, but not as significantly as some of the starters' money is going to go. So I think it's interesting to ask this question. Would Immanuel Quickley, even if the Knicks offered him, let's say $90 million with $10 million incentive, so it gets to $100 million anyways, would he accept it? Or would he say, you know what, I'm good. I don't want the contract. Because you know what? I can do better. I'm going to show you that I can do better. And then when I do better, you're going to have to pay me that money and so much more. So why not bet on myself? And honestly, if that's what he wants to do, I mean, I can't hate on him for it. Runner up for Sixth Man of the Year last year, arguably should have won it. If he did and showed up even a little bit in the playoffs, he might have been worth $100 million right now, without question. We might be talking about 100 or 110 million right now, 115 million. But the playoffs matter, and his value took a huge, sharp hit when the playoffs came. When you don't perform and you don't show up, that's what's going to happen. You can talk to me about the injury as much as you want, but was he not okay and healthy against the Cavaliers, or was that just my imagination playing tricks on me? Please, let's call it for what it is. IQ's a great player. I think he wants to re-sign with the New York Knicks. I think the Knicks want to re-sign him. It's a business at the end of the day, though. And if he thinks he can play himself into a better contract either with the Knicks or another team, he's going to do that. Any sensible agent would tell Immanuel Quickley to do that. So just because the Knicks haven't reached a deal yet, it doesn't mean they haven't offered anything. If anything, maybe they have offered something. But what they've offered, maybe Immanuel Quickley doesn't want. Maybe he thinks he's worth more than that. And now, going into the season, if he wants to be a restricted free agent and wants to showcase what he can do, more power to Quick. Because you know what? If he falls on his face, maybe we get him for cheaper. And if he doesn't, maybe he showcases why we should give him that extra bit of money. Either way, maybe he should bet on himself. I don't know what's going to happen with that situation, but it would really shock me if the Knicks and Immanuel Quickley don't get some type of extension done. I would think $90 million, $95 million, plus a $5-10 million incentive in terms of, money on top of that contract. So that way he works up to the $105 million mark. So that way, if he does believe in himself, maybe that's how you prove it. By going out there and getting that additional money that you're promised if you meet those certain requirements. So we'll see what happens to Immanuel Quickley. I like IQ. I want him to stay on the New York Knicks. But the Knicks have an opportunity to pay Immanuel Quickley or allow him to ride into restricted free agency. Either way, they're going to take a risk. What that risk is, we're going to find out tomorrow, likely before 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on October 23rd. Carmelo Anthony actually wanted Josh Hart to be a Knick. Now, I know what you're thinking right now. Wait, what? Melo wanted Josh Hart to be a New York Knick? Now, how long ago that was? Wasn't that like 10 years ago? Why are we talking about Carmelo Anthony and the New York Knicks? Well, number one, season hasn't begun yet, so relax, calm down, right? And the other, it's Carmelo Anthony. New York Knick Legend? Hello? Why wouldn't we talk about anything he has to say, especially about a current New York Knick player? So, thank you. I'm going to listen to Melo and see what he has to say about Josh Hart. According to Josh Hart, he said that a few years ago, he was told by a former Knicks All-Star, that Knicks All-Star being Carmelo Anthony, obviously, that he would be a perfect match in New York. According to Hart, who is slated to begin his first full season with the Knicks after he signed a 4-year contract extension worth upwards to $81 million in July, then Portland teammate Carmelo Anthony predicted as much in 2020 while they were playing in the NBA bubble during the COVID-19 pandemic. Josh Hart said the following: "I don't even know if he'll remember this conversation, but Melo was like, you'd be a perfect fit in New York, and this was 3 years ago." Hart says in an interview with Hot Living magazine, "I was like, yeah, that would be a bucket list play for me. And then obviously it all came full circle. Now I get to put on a Knicks jersey, go out there and represent this city." All full circle for Josh Hart. Shout out to Carmelo Anthony, by the way, and his son. I've been seeing a lot of great pictures of them working out, especially in Syracuse. So shout out to the whole Melo family. Love what they got going on. And yeah, man, listen, Josh Hart, what he could do when he was coming into the league, of course, a lot of people thought he could fit not only with the Knicks, but with every team, because he's an every team type of player. Every team could use Josh Hart. So Melo saying that while he was a teammate for Josh Hart on Portland, it's not surprising. And to go a step further than that, it actually all worked out in the end. Josh Hart made his way to the Big Apple during a trade, signed with the New York Knicks again during this offseason. As was mentioned in the article by the New York Post, he signed an $81 million extension with the New York Knicks, 4 years. That is incredible for Josh Hart. For me, I still think it's a little bit too much money to give to a bench player. Maybe that's just me, though. I'm not hating on him. I'm not hating on his money. I'm not saying he didn't deserve the contract. When you make an impact the way that Josh Hart made an impact for this Knicks team, you are owed some money. You deserve the money. I'm not knocking that. What I am saying, though, is for a bench player for the Knicks, $81 million is a lot of money. And now we're talking about potentially paying IQ maybe that same contract or more. That might be upwards of 160 plus million on your bench. And we're talking about trying to get Joel Embiid and all these other stars. With what money? You're going to have to trade a lot of these players you sign. That means a lot of the moves are not going to be by the trade deadline. That means you're targeting moves likely for next offseason. I don't know what's going to happen with the New York Knicks. It's going to be very interesting. But what I can say is Immanuel Quickley in that contract extension, October 23rd, 5 p.m. Very interested to see what the Knicks are going to do with that. And obviously with Josh Hart, shout out to him becoming a New York Knick. Happy he is a Knick. Thankfully, Carmelo saw something that we all should have saw a long time ago. I'm sure a lot of us did, but never thought in a million years that Josh Hart could be part of the New York Knicks in any capacity at that point in time. Just happy he's on the Knicks now. Although I've said my piece about the contract, but barring that, he's a great player for this Knicks team. He's an impactful player, and I think he's definitely going to put in the work and showcase what he can do this upcoming season with the Knicks. So stay tuned for that. Chris, my guy Chris, has been killing it on the Knicks Digest channel. Please check out each and every one of his videos. I think even after this video, he's dropping another video. I can't stop him. I'm trying to tell him, Chris, hold on. We have some time here. Wait before you drop this video. And then he agrees with me. And then about an hour goes by and I check the account and then there's another video from Chris and he didn't agree with me. Either way, a lot of videos coming out. I promise you we're going to have some duo videos coming out. That basically means it's going to be me and Chris or me and Dariel or maybe all three of us. Who knows? On one video talking about the team we love most, the New York Knicks. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for rocking with me. I'm Troy. I'm out of here. Appreciate you guys. Later, all. Peace.